Welcome back to Things You Don't Know, where we sometimes turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. And sometimes we just get out our intellectual shovels and uncover interesting facts. And I hope that you'll enjoy this particular episode. I'm Dr. Weaver.
Hello, I'm Dr. Deneen, and we're looking at something really interesting today.
Today, we're squeezing the tube on one of humanity's oldest obsessions, clean teeth. Yeah. We're diving into the long, sometimes weird history of toothpaste.
And it really is a weird history from crushed bones to minty gels, from oyster shell to fluoride and the most bizarre flavors. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, even some recipes that would get you arrested by the dental police if such a body exists today.
Yeah, you can just imagine in your head, from what we've said, that we're talking about cavemen with Colgate.
That sounds like something the Flintstones would have come up with.
Yep. So anyhow, let's start from the beginning. A very good place to start.
Wrong episode for that one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so the earliest known tooth cleaning substance comes from ancient Egypt. Um, at least the documented ones. We'll talk about some other ones too, but that's around 5000 BCE. They didn't have toothbrushes, just powders. The oldest recipe that was written down or passed on that we know of, burned ox hooves. Burned ox hooves. Okay. Eggshells and pumice. They ground them together.
Oh, Lord, that sounds like you're basically rubbing barbecue leftovers all over your teeth. I guess that's pretty much true. I know the Egyptians added myrrh, as in the myrrh mentioned in the Bible, and powdered pepper for freshness. Greeks and Romans later used crushed bones, oyster shells, and even charcoal. The Romans, obsessed with their teeth looking white, even added powdered glass, ouch, which could certainly damage the enamel.
Yeah. In ancient China, they leaned toward herbs like ginseng, mint, and salt, signaling the first cultural focus on fresh breath as well as cleanliness.
While all that was happening overseas in Europe and in Asia, the native peoples in North America had their own dental care traditions, and these were dating back thousands of years before contact with Europeans who at that time only bathed twice a year.
Yeah. And they had the audacity to call Native Americans savages. Oh, okay.
Awful.
So, anyhow, many Native American tribes used chewing sticks, small twigs from aromatic trees like willow, dogwood, and sassafras. Now, the ends of those sticks, the fibers on the ends, acted like natural bristles, and the sap often had antibacterial properties. So it was sort of an all natural toothbrush and toothpaste all wrapped into one, I guess.
Exactly. You know what that reminds me of, Dr. Weaver? We talked about this in a toothbrush podcast we had a while back. Sometimes people with exceptionalities who have a very great difficulty using their hands, or prisoners that might make a toothbrush into a weapon, are given something that's a sort of a combination brush and paste in one. Now, some of the Native American tribes also use crushed herbs, sage, wild mint, even sweetgrass to clean their teeth and freshen their breath. The Navajo, for example, sometimes use the ashes of certain plants mixed with water to scrub their teeth. It's a very mild abrasive, much like the ancient powders.
And it's worth noting that this isn't just interesting, but it's also important in another way. Many anthropologists have commented that pre-contact Native American skulls often show remarkably healthy teeth compared to Europeans of the same era. Now, this is largely attributed to diet and, most importantly, to regular oral cleaning. So, basically, the Native American approach was eco-friendly, chemical-free, and it worked. Kind of makes our fancy toothpaste tubes look over-engineered, huh?
It certainly does, Dr. Weaver. And these things tended to wax and wane depending on the general conduct of the time. Now, in medieval Europe, dental hygiene took a serious dive. People used rough cloths and powders like sage, salt, or even chalk. Sometimes they would use burnt breadcrumbs. Can you imagine literally rubbing burnt toast all over your teeth?
So you're kind of saying the Middle Ages were the don't smile era, right?
Absolutely, yes.
By the 18th century, tooth powders became fashionable again. Fine abrasives like cuttlefish bone or brick dust. I think that's so strange. And bizarrely, honey. Okay, grasp this sugar plus teeth. Doesn't really sound like a winning combo to me. But anyhow, by 1824, a dentist named Peabody added soap to tooth powder for better cleaning. By the 1850s, toothpaste pastes were sold in jars, were replacing powders. In 1873, Colgate started mass produced mint toothpaste in jars.
Then in 1892, Dr. Washington Sheffield, advised by his son, who was also a dentist, invented the collapsible tube, borrowed from the type of tubes that were used to store paint. Suddenly, toothpaste was both portable and hygienic.
Yeah. And also perfect for that satisfying squeeze from the bottom fight that we all have at home, which we discussed before.
Now, the early 20th century brought more innovations, particularly fluoride, which is proven to prevent cavities and scare the hell out of the John Birch Society and other right wing groups. Check out our disability podcast to talk about some of their work. But there were also some marketing disasters. You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen, but in the 1920s, certain toothpastes contained, I am not kidding, radium and other radioactive substances. They claim it gave you resistance to cavities and what were called energized teeth.
Using radioactive substances for your teeth, I guess, is one way to make your smile glow. It also glow in the dark for some wrong reasons.
Absolutely. And in the early 1900s, toothpaste ingredients, as we said, began to change with a growing understanding of the impact of germs and chemistry. Soap remained as a cleaning agent, but mint oils became popular for freshness. Baking soda was reintroduced as a gentle abrasive, and with advances in chemical manufacturing, toothpaste could be colored, flavored even in new ways. Bright white, peppermint green, even striped varieties would later appear. They were very popular in the 80s, I remember that. Then in the 10s and 20s, advertising took over. Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew and the founder of the modern advertising agencies as we know them today, was hired by Pepsodent. And he created a ad campaign that told people to remove the film on their teeth. Now, that was a marketing term more than dentistry or science, but it worked. Dental hygiene became tied to social respectability. Having bad breath wasn't unpleasant, it was a sign of poor character.
The biggest game changer of the 20th century came when you were mentioning this, Dr. Deneen, about fluoride. In the 20th century, the discovery that fluoride could dramatically reduce tooth decay. In the 30s, the 1930s and 1940s, studies in Colorado Springs, where natural fluoride in the water helped prevent cavities, inspired toothpaste makers to add it to their formulas. By 1955, Procter and Gamble launched Crest with stannous fluoride, earning the American Dental Association's seal of approval in 1960. From then on, fluoride toothpaste became the standard in much of the developed world. Tooth decay rates dropped sharply in countries that adopted it.
Now, the second half of the 20th century saw toothpaste become a product of style as much as science. Striped paste like Aquafresh, that was red, white, and green, all in the same tube, appeared in the 1970s, promising to freshen breath, whiten teeth, and fight cavities all at once. Gel formulas arrived, offering transparent blue and green colors. Natural brands began pushing fluoride free alternatives, and TV commercials showed perfect smiles beaming in high definition. By the 80s and 90s, the toothpaste aisle had become another commercial battlefield. Tartar control, whitening, sensitive formulas, herbal blends, and bizarre flavors, each one claiming a unique advantage for its claim on the customer's dollar.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to how to brush the right way. And this is some science-backed information here. You should brush twice daily, morning and night. Now, the ADA, American Dental Association, recommends using a soft, bristled toothbrush to protect enamel. Personally, I tend to think that the medium bristled toothbrushes are better as long as they're not overused and used as a like steel wool on your teeth and gums. But at any rate, you hold the toothbrush at a 45-degree angle toward your gum line. You use gentle circular motions, not back and forth hard scrubbing, like you would do on a, I don't know, dirty fabric or something. No, use a circular motion. Spend at least 2 minutes brushing. Now, most people only manage about 30 seconds of brushing. Isn't enough, really. And another thing, don't rinse right after brushing. Now, the ADA would like us to let the fluoride stay for 30 minutes. I kind of doubt that most people are going to be able to do that comfortably. However, do let it stay for a while. Now, here's another aspect too. Your teeth have what dentists call a mesial and lingual sides. The mesial side is like the side that is on the outside. It faces your cheeks and what people see when they look at the front. Okay, so that's one surface that needs to be brushed and cleaned. The the lingual side, having to do with the tongue side, the inside, if you will, That surface also needs to be brushed. So you want to brush that side also. That might just boost your brush time up a little bit so that you almost get to that 2 minutes. Interesting. The other thing is the idea of brushing your tongue and the roof of your mouth and the gums at their origin points. Why? Well, bacteria is not just a problem for bad breath. Now, enamel is pretty tough material. However, bacteria can still seep in around the edges of the tooth and get down into the roots and give you pain, decay, sometimes forcing extractions or root canals or other things like that. So, good idea to brush the tongue, the roof, and the edges of your gums. Now, don't rip into your gums. That's a bad idea, but gently, gently, enough to dislodge those things. Let it stay for a while and then rinse. And then, of course, you want to replace your toothbrush every 3 to 4 months. You don't want to be lazy. Don't be rough and don't rinse right away. Get it?
Here we got some really interesting fun facts. To help out the astronauts, NASA made a swallowable toothpaste so they didn't have to spit in zero gravity. I imagine they wouldn't want toothpaste flying all over the shuttles or capsules before that.
Yeah.
In Japan, you can get really unique flavors of toothpaste like wasabi, which is hot, curry, which is very spicy, and even a cola flavor. Well, I suppose as long as it doesn't have sugar in it, it would be okay. Now, the Guinness Book of World Records for the most people brushing in one location at one time was set in India in 2019 as part of an anti-decay program the government set up there. 26,000 people brush their teeth in front of a Jainist temple. The Jainists are the people who think they want to be flies in the afterlife. So I hope for their sake they get it. I'd rather not be a fly, but that's their prerogative. What surprised the heck out of me is toothbrushes, as we said in our other podcast, have been around for centuries. The Chinese, 4,000 years ago, and the Babylonians before that used chew sticks, twigs with a frayed end to scrub their teeth.
And don't forget, Native Americans did the same thing.
As we said, yeah, the first toothbrush with bristles in it was made in China in the late 1400s using bristles made out of hog hair attached to a bone handle or bamboo. The first electric toothbrush, the so-called Broxident, came out in 1954 in Switzerland. But as we said, fluoride didn't become common until the 50s, but it was first added to a toothpaste in Canada in the 1910s. Actually, it was given to World War I soldiers on the Western Front. But toothpaste can be used to do more than clean teeth. It can remove crayon marks from the walls, polish silver, soothe minor skin irritations, although dermatologists don't recommend that anymore. You know what is surprising here? There's a birthday for toothbrushes. On February the 24th in 1938, the modern brush, the nylon with the nylon bristles, was created by DuPont. I guess they had to do something besides create gunpowder and napalm. As we said, the Guinness record for toothbrushing, 26,000 people in India at one point, and then in 2005, 41,000 people in the Philippines in front of Managong Palace, that's their version of the White House, brushed their teeth simultaneously for 3 minutes to promote dental hygiene.
And now we're back to the trendy thing of charcoal toothpaste. Okay, it's a trend, but dental experts warn it can be too abrasive for daily use, just like what it was in Roman times. And I cannot imagine that charcoal is something that would brighten and whiten and be very pleasant. And also, I'm not sure that I would want to be having charcoal in my mouth. Charcoal is fine for, barbecues, and that flavor is fine for that. So anyhow, from crushed bones and plant ashes to fluoride foam, toothpaste is one of those everyday miracles with a surprisingly epic history.
And don't forget, like we said, many cultures, like the Native Americans, had effective oral care long before the modern tubes. So the next time you brush, ladies and gentlemen, you're not just doing a chore. You're taking part in a human ritual that's gone on for 7,000 years.
Well, I think we have done our flossing and brushing for this particular episode. I want to encourage you to come back and give us a like and make comments. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye.
So long, folks.